All right, for this last video, I'm going to try to make a connection to that database that we created in the first video. Try to make a connection and try to display on this home page the user's name. So this is the user's name, okay? And what I want to do, let's see if we refresh this page and see if it eventually popped up with Brian. So I'm going to get rid of the about. Yeah, so now it's live. Brian Marshall is up there. It looks the same as this one. So we can close. Well, we won't close any of those. All right, so this has been committed and all of that. So what we're going to do is we are going to, and this time I'm going to use Chat Copilot, and we're going to see how it works with Copilot and see if it'll work. Okay, so we're going to do a lot of this in routes. Okay, so in routes and in index. Routes and index. Okay, so I want to display my username from a MySQL database, okay, on the route, the / route, in the index file. Let's just see if that can help us get started, okay? So it says you're already doing it. Now we need to do it, but now we need to do it's going to start with a pip install flask MySQL DB. Okay, so let's do that. Let's add. So we'll come over here, and it says we should do the flask dash MySQL DB. Okay, which is this one here. So I'm going to install that 2.0, and we'll just let that be installed. Okay, once we install that, like normal, we need to do a pip freeze. Okay, so we need to do a pip freeze. All right, so it looks like it is installing. Oh, it says it's installed, so we're good. So let's go back to our terminal. Let's go and open a different terminal. I don't necessarily want to close down my debugger right now, so let's just open another terminal, and let's just say pip. Actually, I think if we still do the up arrow, so we'll just do a pip freeze. And it will then put the database, the Flask MySQL DB database library into the requirements document that we can send up to the thing. Now, on routes, in index, we need to make an adjustment. So before we do any of that, we need to add the from Flask import MySQL. So let's do that. So we'll grab that and we will put it, we need to do this inside the init file, okay? And we need to make a connection. And then it looks like, so for step 2, configure the MySQL connection in your Flask app. And, all right, so let's see, from Flask import Flask. There's our app Flask name and MySQL app. Okay, so we could probably just do the whole thing right here in the init. Okay, again, I haven't really played with it, and so we're just kind of going from scratch. Import MySQL. All right, so here, app configure MySQL host, local host, app configure MySQL user, and root is fine. We're going to change all these. Let's just give it there's the password and there's the DB, and then we will start it up. So MySQL app. Okay, so now we started it up, and then when we go to our route, so here's our routes. We go into our index route, and we're going to create what's called a cursor, right? So we say cursor is equal to MySQL connection dot that connection. And then we can say execute select all from users. And then we can say the username is equal to fetch. And we're going to do fetch 1 instead of fetch all. And then what we're going to do is we're going to render our template still, but at the end of it, we're going to hit a comma, and we're going to pass in the username as the username. Okay, so username equals username. Okay, so we're taking username. Now we can use it, and we're passing in this username here into that, which is going to set it on the next one. Now, right here, it doesn't like this MySQL, right? So if I come over here, from app, import MySQL, and it does that automatically. Okay, so now it's going to say from app, which is in this init file, grab app, grab the MySQL. Okay, so that's how that's going to work. Okay, and we're going to take username. So this says select all from users, and we only want one. And then we'll just say where ID is equal to 1. Okay, where ID is equal to 1. And we know that we only have 1 in there. So it should return back Brian. Okay, should return back Brian, and Brian should now be on the index file. But in the index file, we still need to do one more thing. So over here in the index file, this is my home page. We're going to hit enter. And then notice it's going to already kind of want us to, we don't need to do the login, but let's just do welcome, comma, and now we're going to do some Jinga. Okay, so we'll do that. And this, that means open and close, and these are Jinga. So anything that goes in here is what's being passed in from the other side. So just know that. And we will do exclamation point. Now, that is going to be good. Okay. But over here in our init, we need to change out the username and password and such. So let's grab host is brianmarshall.com. The username was this. Let's put that there. The password was this. So let's put that there. And the database. And I'm just going to delete these so it doesn't really matter. That's the database there. Okay. And now if we go back here and click on all right, it says it's reloading. Let's click this. Operational error. Unknown column ID in the where clause. Okay, good. So that tells us what the error is. What does that mean? Okay, well, that means it doesn't know, which is a good thing. It means it actually hit where it's supposed to. Okay, so it checked. It's not ID. It's where user underscore ID. Remember, that's what we called it inside our database, right? So if we go back and look at users, it is user underscore ID. Not, okay, but it is also coming from user. So we make sure there's an S there and user ID. That's what that error was telling us. Now, when I click on it, it's going to say, this is the home page. Welcome, one Brian Marshall. It grabbed the whole row and put the whole row into a list and put it output. So we need to adjust that, right? So I'm going to take that and I'm just going to go right back to here and say, the output was wrong, and I'm just going to paste it in, and it's going to come back and tell me that, oh, it was in a list. You need to adjust it on the list. It seems to see fetch one. It was a whole tuple. Let's do this a little bit different. Let's do a so it says here, instead of, we're going to actually do a brackets. Okay, so it takes the whole result, okay, takes the result, puts the result into fetch one, and then username equals result with the username, okay, inside there. It will pull that out and put it into here, okay. Let's check it again and run it, and it did not like it, so that's okay, because it's just telling us that most likely it doesn't know that it's called. So let's just say type error, not string, and let's go back. These little errors are easy to fix. Just throw it right into the GitHub. I'm treating it like a dictionary when it should be treated like a tuple. So it says make sure you access the second element of the tuple. A dictionary, it knows what it is. A tuple does not. So I want to actually say, instead of username, a 1. So take the second one in the list. Okay. Now, when I go back and click on the terminal and click here, it now says welcome to just Brian. Okay. And if I wanted to welcome to the first thing, to the first thing in there, that would be like that, and that will actually be the result of a 1 because it's the first one in that tuple. Okay, it grabbed the whole row and put the whole thing in there. So let's double check that, and now it says welcome 1. Okay, welcome 1. Now, here's the trick. Let's see if we push this up to GitHub, if it actually works. Okay, so with this database connection, and we send it to GitHub, it's going to send it out to Render. Render is going to have its web service talk to the other server and go through a bunch of firewalls and bring back that data from an outside source. This outside source is on a SiteGround web server that also has to be configured. So let's just see if all the configurings are done to see if this will actually work. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to take all the changes, and I'm going to call it the third commit, right? Third commit. And I'm going to commit and push them. And push. Okay. So we're going to go back over, and we know this is working. Okay. So I can close that. And close that one, close this one, close this one, close this one, close this one. And it is doing the third commit build. Okay. And it should build fine because it just worked on the other one. So if we go to logs, it should build fine. So it is 8:35. And I'm going to pause this just for a second so we don't have to wait so long. All right, so it looks like it's all up and running. It looks like it has, if I go back to events, it's still doing the little squiggly line. But looks like it's been committed and deployed live. So I'm going to click on this, and it looks like it's live, and it looks like we have the 1 there. Okay, so it looks like the 1 is showing up from that. So it looks like it does talk over to my SiteGround server without any issues with the firewalls. So we should be good to go to use that MySQL database in this class for this assignment. So super excited. Everything should be working. Let's just go back and review the code one last time. So in the code, we created inside our init, okay? We added our MySQL DB, MySQL, and we had the connection right there, okay? And then in our routes, we added the connection up here to the top. Now we could technically go on this one here and do MySQL like that and not have to do it twice. So we can do something like that. Makes it pretty easy, okay? And then come down here, we're using the MySQL connection from that connection. We come down here, we create our select all statement. Now the really cool thing you can do is you could take this statement and you can open up the browser, the MySQL workbench, and you can just paste it right in, okay? And you can run it. And it's going to run and grab the line that you're looking for, okay? Instead of select all, I could have said select username, okay? And if I run it, it doesn't like user. It's first name. So we'll go first name, okay? Select first name, and it just grabs the first name. Now I'm going to copy that because I know it works. I'm just going to copy that, go back over here, and instead of that, I'm just going to just paste that right in, right? Just like that. And then now it's only going to bring back that one thing. So now I don't need to do this, although this still works, but it might not come back as a tuple. It might just come back individual. And then it could just be username equals fetch 1. So this might throw an error. Let's click this and hit refresh. And remember, this is localhost, and it worked just with Brian as 0. Okay. If I go and put it just username instead of result, so let's see if that will work. Username is equal to, and then I'm just gonna comment that out and just see if that works. So it grabs the result, puts it into the username comes back out here. Let's just see, and it still does it, and it keeps it up. So it didn't just do it. It grabbed it as a whole tuple, and it added it with parentheses and quotes with looks like a comma, okay? So I need to use that, because I'm using fetch one, I need to use this to take it out of the quotes. Okay, so I'm going to come over here and say this is result, the result of what we just did, and I'm going to uncomment this. And what that's going to do is it's going to take it out of the single quotes and of the and put it into here. So let's just go back and look at it. And if I hit refresh, so notice it has those brackets around it. I'm going to hit refresh, and it gets rid of all that because I stripped it out by telling it to just grab the item inside it. Okay, I think that is good. You guys should be able to watch that and get a lot of cool stuff done.